G'day and welcome to the Team SFF show. Rob Borzak Jr. here, joining you again for another audio-only edition of the show. And on this trip, in this episode, we were sitting around a campfire down on the Victorian border, not far from Corryong. And on this trip, we had Brian Boyle, his son-in-law, Frenchy, Frenchy's mate Simmo, and Frenchy's son. We also had Rob Borzak Sr., Rob Borzak Jr., and my son as well. Now, the two little boys were tucked up in bed and the old heads were all sitting around the campfire, spinning yarns about trips in New Zealand. So I thought we'd pop some mics on and let everyone else enjoy. So sit back and listen. It got started after we popped the mics on and Brian had already told his story. And then we jumped into Rob Sr.'s story. And then I told one not quite as entertaining. And then we just kept going from there. So sit back, enjoy. See you next time.
Say test.
All right, so...
Well, the year was 2006.
Well, hang on just a second. So the yarns are spinning here in hunting camp. So I figured we should put it on, record something because there's some good stories here. So
it was a mad dash to grab the mics before all the stories came out. Yeah. We had to put a pause on it.
Yeah. So we're probably going to have to introduce ourselves. So this is Rob Jr.
Rob Sr.
Frenchy.
BB.
And you'll need to bring your mic over.
Oh. And Simmo.
Yeah.
And Simmo. So we're all sharing a hunting camp here. The young fellas are in bed. And we're just enjoying the campfire. So yeah, the yarns are going. So we'll just orientate everyone. There was a notorious situation back in because Brian had just told us a story how he fell off a mountain in New Zealand and broke his arm, and then the local trainee doctors in Christchurch experimented on him, and he was awake during the surgery when they were trying to put his arm back together. He heard the drill and everything. So, and then that has kind of bridged into another story when Brian and Robert Sr. went on a tar hunt. So how do you want to start it? Obviously, we're going to be careful if anyone is doesn't want to name anyone because it could be bad blood or whatever you call it. We'll just keep it safe for the audience, but okay, so as you said, the year was...
Well, the year was 2006 in December, which is a summer tar hunt. And we went... we flew
the Macaulay River.
Macaulay River, that's right. And just have to think through. It's one of those things that happened to me in my life that I'll never, ever forget. And believe me, I try and forget about a lot of things. But
an elephant never forgets, unfortunately, right?
I don't know. I think you're probably right. Anyway, we decided we'd go and have this tar hunt, and it was
a birthday trip, right?
Birthday?
No, Boyley wanted to go on
Boyley wanted to go on a trip, so we organised it, and there was Boyle and me and Malcolm and Gary.
Tagged on. Yeah,
and then there was one other fella who we'll say was burnt. Anyway, there was 5 of us there.
So Mr. Burns, we'll call him.
We flew to...
Smithers.
We flew to Christchurch and we rented cars, and Gary and I went with Malcolm, and we bought some... we bought all our food, and Malcolm in those days lived in Christchurch, and he picked us up from the airport, and we stayed in a swanky hotel overnight on the way down, and got a nice selection of French wines. And
it doesn't sound like you at all.
Not like me at all. No. And then
I love it.
Anyway, we were really looking forward. We're going to be in the bush for about a week, and so we drove down to Lake Tekapo and met Boyley there with his
Mr. Burns, we're calling him.
Mr. Byrne, and anyway, I think you actually had you'd borrowed a car from your brother-in-law.
Yeah, that's right.
Came up from Dunedin.
Yeah. What do you call those Hiluxes they have over there? That's surf, a Hilux surf. Yeah, everyone had one.
And it just so happened that you had a cash card on you, which came in handy later on, and we'll talk about that later on. But and also he actually happened to have the keys in his day pack for some reason or other. Also very lucky. Anyhow, we get the helicopter and we fly up into this beautiful basin, and you can imagine it's all green. You've got the vista of Mount Cook in the distance, and really nice, warm day, mountain grass everywhere, wind blowing a little bit. Behind us was a huge, big, basic forest of what's that? The bush up there? The
Beech forest? No, no, monkey scrub.
No, it wasn't monkey scrub. It's the. It'll come to me in a minute anyway.
Turpentine scrub.
Anyway,
we were in an open area up there.
Yeah, but up behind us on the side of the hill there was just trying to think of that native scrub.
The Spanish.
Oh boy. Anyway,
So you guys were fly camping up there in the high basin?
We went to fly camp. There's no cabin or anything there. We just picked a nice spot, pulled up, and it looked okay from the air. There was a couple of spots that were a bit swampy. I put a tent up in one spot. Brian put up another tent just not far from ours, and he had all his gear in there, and he had a beautiful
brand new bow.
Oh,
He was determined he was going to kill a tar with a bow. I thought, yeah, good luck for that. Anyway, the very first day we got there, burnt, and Brian went charging up the hill, and I sat there and I thought, I'm not going to run up straight away. I'll sit here. And Malcolm and I sat there and we had a couple of wines on the side of the hill.
Because they were older.
they were older.
And
You sat at camp using the force. Go this way, Luke. This way.
And all the other wine was in the river, cooling down. It was very, very nice. It was a very pleasant camp. Anyway,
New Zealand beavers, they rock up with wine bottles and block the river off.
No, honestly, we actually had thousands of dollars worth of wine, bourbon, rum and whiskey, and crystal glasses from Austria, apparently.
Yeah.
So it was the poshest fly camp
It was
in New Zealand. Yeah.
We'll talk about this later.
Yeah, I had bought myself a new sleeping bag for the occasion even. Anyway, Malcolm's in there in the tent, and we got ourselves sorted out, and he's got, like a $5,000 pair of binos, yeah, and a spotting scope worth about the same. And
In 2006, that's a lot.
He had a camera with a dirty great big lens on it. He was going to take photos and that sort of stuff. Anyway, next morning we got up. We were going to go down the river, so we did. We're going to go down the river, and
no, we had one good day's hunting. I went and shot some nannies up in the basin. It was the second day.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
The second day, went down because you guys were glassing and waiting for the bulls to come down.
Yeah, the second day we got in the river. Almost in the river bed, and we walked all the way down, around the corner, and you couldn't see the camp anymore. Anyway, we're down there and we're sitting in the river, actually in the river bed, and I don't know, probably 3 o'clock in the afternoon, all the tar started coming down to us.
Yeah. And I was also climbing. I climbed up a couple of thousand feet, and I was up there, and I was going. I've been in Australia too long because I was seeing little clouds going below me, and I smelled smoke, and I went, I've been in Australia too long. It's just, this is nuts.
Yeah.
Smelling smoke up on the mountains.
Carry on, Robert.
Yeah. I'm just trying to think what prompt. Oh, that's right. Then we saw the tar that came down. They came within 100 metres of where we were. They could easily have shot them, but they were basically all nannies and a couple of young bulls. So we were going to shoot them.
I would have shot shit at them, but never mind.
Well, you would have just started shooting. That's right. Just a Kiwi, you just murder everything. Anyway, on the other side of this river's really running fast. I mean, it's where we were was really quite dangerous, and out of the bluffs come this 5 or 6 big, lovely bull tar jumping from rock to rock, boom, 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 boom. They were doing the same. They were coming down because that's right. That first day, I got up into the bluffs, and the bluffs were completely eaten out. Yeah. You can see why they were coming down. They'd eaten everything out up there. There's nothing much to come down in the afternoon for a feed. in a less secure area of the valley, of course. Anyway, he said, well, look, we know where those tar are going. We can see them. Boom, boom, boom. They're going down over there. But it's on the other side of the river. We can't cross here. Okay, what we'll do is we'll walk back upriver until we can find a spot where we reckon we can cross safely. Well, of course, we never did cross, did we? We came up the valley, along the river.
Back towards
camp.
camp.
As we round the bend of this river, I see these huge plume of smoke on a 35 or 40 degree angle, burning with huge flames that must have been 50 feet high, racing through the Matagari. That's what I was trying to think of before, and I mean racing. And Malcolm's standing there and looking at it, and I'm looking at him and looking at that, and he said to me, Robert, do you think if we got up there and we took the stuff out of our packs and filled them full of water, we could put that fire out? And I said, I don't think so, Malcolm. I don't think so.
So which direction were you looking? Back towards camp?
We were looking back up the valley, and we must have been, I don't know, maybe a couple of K away.
Yep.
Yeah.
We were a long way away. And that was the vision we had. We knew it was obviously coming from the direction of the camp, but we didn't know exactly where the camp was because we couldn't see it from below.
Yep.
But also, I climbed down and I met you guys and we were looking up back up there. The flames were coming down and going, fuck, what's happened with, what's happening with
Mr. Burns?
Mr. Burns and Gaza, And here we go, shit.
Yeah. And anyway, Malcolm said, I think I better call a helicopter.
Luckily, Malcolm, being the richest guy in New Zealand, had
I
a
don't know
satellite
whether
phone
he was then, but
way before everybody else did.
anyway, he says, I'm going to call a helicopter. So he gets his sat
His
phone.
mate owned a helicopter company.
Yeah.
So even before you're back at camp, he's on the phone.
Sorry?
So even before you got back to camp, he was already on the phone.
we never got back to camp.
We never got back to camp.
Oh, okay. So you just saw the fire.
What happened was he got the sat phone going and he called in the helicopter, and probably, I don't know, 20 minutes later, half an hour later, this chopper comes in, and Robert tells me and Boyley to get in it, and he lifts us out and takes us back to Tekapo.
Yeah.
And Malcolm, in the meantime, when the helicopter comes back, he gets in the helicopter and goes up to the camp.
Yeah.
Of course. And of course, so Brian and I actually never got back to the camp.
No.
Yeah,
Okay.
right. So you guys met up on the mountain.
Yeah, but
That's right, because he came down and met us in the riverbed.
Gotcha.
And
we were at the old shed site. And I can remember this clearly. Mr. Burns was in the front of the helicopter with eyes about the size of dishes.
he dropped us where we parked the truck.
Yeah.
At the shed, and Malcolm got in and went up to the campsite to have a look. And when he came back, he was just shaking his head, and that's where we got most of the story from, Malcolm.
Okay.
Yeah.
And Gary, Gary had picked a spot to put his tent up that happened to be in the middle of a little swamp, so he didn't get burnt. Just to set the scene, the whole camp was burnt out.
Yep.
Because the snowgrass, which was very dry, was lit, and what actually happened, we believe, was that our little friend Mr. Burnt, there was a certain Kiwi that insisted that we should use liquid fires. What do you call them? Those things?
MSR burners.
No, these are the petrol ones. White spirit burners.
Yeah.
To do our cooking, and that's fine. They're okay. But what happened apparently was that Burnt had decided to make himself a baby tar stew. So he puts this thing on the burner and then promptly falls asleep. The wind blows, knocks over the burner, and the whole thing, all the white spirits into the snowgrass.
Oh, crap.
And up she goes.
Wow.
Right? It went right through, burnt Malcolm and my tent down completely.
Brand new
burnt
sleeping
his
bag.
tent down
Yeah.
completely.
My bow was okay, but Mr. Burnt threw it on top of a bush that then burnt.
Oh no.
Burnt ran around trying to so-called rescue our stuff. I had a black Colpin gun case that I'd brought my rifle to New Zealand in, and all that was left was the butt end of it, all burnt and melted. That's all I got out of it. And
how do you explain that?
No, I'll give you the explanation. When the guys flew in from Mount Cook, because I had friends from karate who knew who was who, and they couldn't believe our campsite with crystal glasses.
I love that. I love that.
All of the expensive wines and whiskies.
Well, Malcolm went back to camp, but he didn't recover anything. He was that shocked because there was nothing for him to recover.
And Robert and I were then, I was dead lucky that we had enough cash. I lost everything except the keys, which I had in the pack.
Well, that's a very glass half full mindset, isn't it?
But we went back to Dunedin. I borrowed a credit card off my brother-in-law, and then Robert and I flew to Wellington. That was funny as buggery.
Well, all we had was what we stood up in.
Yeah,
that's all we had.
Yeah,
we had nothing else, and I had my cameras, my firearm, and a bit of gear in the back day pack. You were pretty much the same. Malcolm was the same as well, and
but we flew. Remember, we flew to Wellington, and then we were wandering around there, and you walked into the New Zealand, Australian bloody embassy, and going, "Who are you?" And I go, "Just look up on fucking line who I fucking am. I fucking few bucks." And within 4 hours, we had a passport.
It was worse than that because we got to the front gate of the embassy or the consulate, whatever it was, in Wellington, and you press the button, it goes, and a voice says, "What do you want?" I said, "I'm an Australian, I want to come in." "Why?" "I need a passport." "Why?" "Well, my passport just got burnt, and I can't go back to Australia without a passport." "Oh, okay, you better come in." You come in. And then we went through a process. It took about 4 hours to get 4 or 5 hours to get a new passport, and we had to pay him, I think it was $100 or something.
Yeah, extra $100.
Each $100.
But we were staying in Cuba Mall. But the funny thing was, we went and saw Borat, the movie. And he understood half of it because it was in Polish instead of Uzbekistan.
For me, will you?
No, he says a few words that actually are Polish.
That's like Yakshimash and Dziękuję.
Yakshimash and Dziękuję.
Yeah.
That's Polish, but it's got nothing to do with the theme of the movie.
This guy's talking Polish.
It's always weird that he said
That's
those words.
That's how we filled it. But what about the TV interview? Talk about the TV interview that I had, and then they had to redo it. Can you remember that one?
I'm just trying to think.
So we were walking down the main street.
Yeah.
Is this all part of the same event?
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
wow.
This is when you're in Wellington, is it?
And I was wearing a...
so you're in Wellington. Hang on.
Yeah, we're in Wellington.
Okay.
Yep.
So you're out of camp, you got nothing.
We got nothing. I'm walking down in my hunting clothes. I've got a Wallabies bloody jumper over top of it. And this woman comes up and goes, "Oh, are you guys from Australia?" We go, "Yeah, we are." "Oh, well, we're just doing interviews about tourism. Will you guys talk to us?" And we go, "Yeah."
About tourism.
This is great. And then, so she does about a 5-minute interview about tourism and all that, and she goes, "Oh, where you from, blah, 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 blah," all this sort of stuff. And then she goes, and so, just for our records, what's your name? And I go, "Brian Boyle." She goes, "Oh my God." Oh no, she goes, "Are you Kath Boyle's brother?" I go, yes. And he goes, I don't believe this. This is Robert going, "I don't believe this." I go, "Yeah, I'm Kath Boyle's brother." She goes, "Oh shit, I can't use you. No one will believe this is genuine." So they did the whole interview again with Robert. This is an absolute pisser.
That's right. It's the truth. It's the truth.
So Robert did this whole spiel about hunting and all this sort of shit on New Zealand TV that got on. And they never used a thing from me because I was Kath Boyle's brother. And he just went, "I don't believe this." Yeah, New Zealand was too small. It's fantastic.
Yeah.
But the best thing was, like we go to the embassy and they go, blah, blah, blah. We need some identity. He just goes, "Just look on fucking line who I am." And but we had nothing. We're like, we went into Woolies. and bought undies so we could change our undies. We changed our undies in the bloody changing rooms and dumped them in the bloody rubbish bin outside.
We literally had nothing.
We had nothing.
So do you rate the undies from Woolies or not?
Yeah, they were definitely.
I don't know. We had to go and stay in a motel while
I
they
was in
prepared our
Cuba
passports.
Mall. It was fantastic.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. And I was watching Hunting Archer, right? And he was just going to sleep. I was going, this is great, you know.
This is
We're
great.
staying
I
in a
should get him
$50
over.
motel.
And then you left out the part where when we were back at Tekapo, the fire engine and everything went up there to put it all out and dump water on it. And anyway, they did a clean up of the area, and like Boyle was saying, they couldn't believe finding $1,000 worth of wine in the river.
That was going to be a question of mine. Did the wine make it out, or is there a cache?
No,
up
it
there?
made it back to Mount Cook.
Made it back to them. We never got any of it in the end, and none of that stuff anyway. And anyway, what we did was they said, "Oh, look, there's a garbage bag over there in the fire station. If you want to go and have a look at it, there might be some stuff that you want to retrieve." There was a couple of 3 or 4 garbage bags there. Anyway, I thought, I'll go over there and have a look. So I wandered across the road and started raking through one garbage bag. There was nothing much in that. Then started raking through another one, and that's where I found my that little piece of my Colpin gun boot. And I actually got a photo of me holding it. I think you took a photo of me. Funny enough, I saw it the other day, the photo of me holding the Colpin gun boot. And then I tipped, for some reason I tipped that bag out. And there was a melted wad of $100 notes. That was mine.
Oh, it was now because you're finders keepers.
No, it was mine.
Keepers.
It was mine. But it asked me why. I had about $3,000 or $4,000 in cash on me. And it went up in smoke. I thought, I've lost that. I've lost everything. I've lost, blah blah blah. But there it was. But it was like the size of your fist, all melted.
Oh right.
But on one corner, you could flick it through, and you could see all the serial numbers on the notes.
You would too. You arsey prick.
Yeah.
Everything else is burnt, but you can see the serial numbers.
Yeah.
So what does that mean?
Oh
means you
well,
can
what
go
that
get
means is
a new lot, right?
Yeah. That's right. So to cut to the chase, when I got home, I said to the boy, he said, "What do you want those for?" I said, "I'm going to get my money back."
So you got fresh, crisp.
Well, that's the policy.
Yeah.
If you give them old notes, they have to give you new in return. It doesn't say that, as long as they can identify them as notes.
Yep.
Well, they could read all the serial numbers, couldn't they?
Beautiful.
So I went down to the Commonwealth Bank in Summerhill in those days, and I said to the lady on the counter, "I want to cash these in. I want to replace them." She looked at it and said, "No, we're not going to do that." I said, "Yes, you are." No. And she went and got the manager, and the manager said, "Yeah, we'll replace them. We'll fill out this form." Blah. He said, "And we'll give you a call when the Reserve Bank exchanges them."
Imagine being the person reviewing that. How did these become damaged?
Well, that's what serial numbers are for, right?
Yeah.
Well,
They can track them. They're real.
So about a week later, after I got home, I got a phone call: "Come down the bank and get your money."
Wow.
So talk about lucky.
That's very lucky.
That's what you got to do. You got to be an old bastard and just go out and have fun.
Well, yeah.
So
So
these are the best stories.
So let's just recap what you lost in the fire. So you talked about the brand new sleeping bag that you got one night out of.
Yeah, a brand new tent.
Brand new tent.
I don't know what.
You lost the gun case. You lost passports, everything else.
all my money,
Your packs, all your spare clothes.
everything. I think
So all your travelling clothes gone.
everything. Shoes,
Passport.
your passport you mentioned. Yeah, whatever else you would have taken. All we had.
Did you lose your wallet and everything?
No, I didn't lose my wallet because I had my wallet luckily in my in my day pack. That's the only thing I had.
That's why I should always hunt
But
with your license.
I had like a duffel bag there full of stuff, all my toiletries, everything. Just everything gone.
That's a good lesson.
I think I had my binoculars around my neck. Malcolm, as I said, Malcolm had 2 or 3 very expensive sets of binoculars and
He lost
spotting scope and
$50,000
cameras and all that
worth
sort of stuff.
Wow.
Yeah.
You
I
flew
didn't.
in, you didn't tramping, did you?
Yeah, I didn't lose any of that stuff.
Rob, any of that equipment you still have now?
I'm just trying to think. The rifle I had actually, I think was this
338.
338 that I've got here now.
Yep.
Cool.
Yeah.
We were in
The Browning
it might be
ABOC.
300 Magnum.
Hmm?
We had the 300 Magnums in those days. Rums.
Yeah.
I took the rum there.
I don't think I took the rum
No.
with me, but
Nah, that was before the rums happened, I think.
No, I had my rum there.
Okay.
Honestly, yep, I got photos of it. I shot a shitload of times.
But I don't think you had a rum then.
What? No, he had a rum because I bought it off him.
He brought him in.
Because he had
I
the box.
brought 6 in.
He had the box of them, yeah.
Yeah, but I think
no
it was
choice
before
but
that. It was before that, 2006, because I thought I brought those rums in about 2008. But anyway, it doesn't matter.
That's what I thought too. It was much later.
No, I took that over there.
But it doesn't matter anyway. You might be right, but I had the impression I had my 338 with me.
It was it was a fun trip. It was a.
Oh, sounds thrilling.
Well, we never even got a trip.
I got a few days.
It was a trip, but there was no hunting trip.
I think it was amazing being up and I was going, I smell smoke. I've been in Australia too long. This is bonkers. And I went, oh, fuck, I'll get out of here. I'm going to get burnt alive.
So what did you lose, Brian, in the fire?
Oh, I lost about $14,000 worth of gear, but that doesn't matter.
Yeah.
I can't believe that someone tossed a bow from a safe spot on top of a tree that then got burnt. But,
And of
the
course,
best thing
Gary.
was, it was just the bonding experience with Robert. Like Robert and I worked together for, yonks. And it was funny, just going up to Wellington and we had no money. So we slept on the cheapest bloody motel or hotel in not Christchurch, in Wellington. And then just going up to when he rocks up to the embassy and going,
Yeah.
who you are, and just going, just look at me on the fucking internet. They went twang, twang, twang. We were in,
And of course, Gary, as we said, camped on a swampy spot. So Gary recovered everything.
Yeah, there was.
Gary had recovered all his gear.
Yeah, that was a mistake. Like if you never camp amongst snowgrass, or you got to be out in areas where there's gravel.
Yeah, but in that whole basin there was nothing but snowgrass.
Yeah. Well, that was bonkers where I first landed.
The mistake we made was to have those spirit burners, and also to have Mr. Burn with us.
Yeah.
That was the mistake
But
we made.
it shot a couple of little things, and
But
So how did he come out of it? What did he lose in the fire?
You've still got?
I think he basically lost nothing. I think.
Oh, that'd be the worst.
yeah,
Oh.
300 Magnum.
Surely you'd donate all your
twang
own
nails,
gear and go,
mate.
here, fellas.
This is flat.
That's all I've got.
Yeah,
And is it fair to say that you and Malcolm's relationship had an ebb after that?
Well, Malcolm won't, when other people who know him in New Zealand, he won't answer the call when they say I'm with Brian.
that was the last time Malcolm ever hunted with me. Put it that way. That was because of the company I keep.
I don't blame him.
But no, it wasn't quite that bad in the end. I did. I think it was last Christmas actually. Malcolm and his wife Alana were over in Sydney
We all make
visiting their
mistakes.
son, who actually works in America these days. He brought his family over, and they were at the Crown Casino, and they was it the Crown? Yeah, the one on the point.
Yeah.
Anyway, he gave me a ring and said, "You want to come for lunch and have a lunch with us?" And I said, "Yeah, for sure."
So it was almost 20 years between drinks, literally.
No.
I think I'd spoken to Malcolm a couple of times on the phone, but I mean, he's.
Got the Wolver shoes on.
I don't know how much hunting he was doing. I don't think he was doing a hell of a lot of hunting, but his knees were pretty much buggered because he was a baker by trade, and as a young man, he used to hump heavy bags of flour and all that sort of stuff. So, anyway, we caught up with him and Alana for lunch, and we started at 12 and finished there at about 8 o'clock at night. Before they threw us out of the restaurant.
Yeah.
But so that had a happy ending as far as Malcolm, and and I are concerned. But funnily enough, we sat there and we talked about it, the thing, and laughed our tits off about it.
Oh, you did come up. Good.
Yeah, it was really. Oh no, it couldn't not come up.
Yeah, that's the last time you saw each other.
Because there was another trip that before that, many years before that actually, where Malcolm and I and Paul Fleming did a trip to Fiordland, and we went. Malcolm did some scouting, and we decided that we'd fly in to the wild natives block.
That was mid-90s, right?
I think it was mid-90s, yeah.
So what was the setup with Fiordland back then?
Same as it is now.
Okay.
But we didn't go during the ballot. We
Okay.
didn't do the. I've been to Fiordland 3 times, I think, over the years.
Because when it's outside the ballot, you can just book and off you go.
Yeah, you could just go wherever you want, whichever block you want. And that particular trip, and thinking about the disasters in Mount Cook made me think about the privations of that particular hunt too. And it wasn't all that good either. But it was. I don't know the exact month of year it was, but it was. It certainly was bloody cold and wet, of course, as Fiordland always is.
And this is mid-90s?
Would have been mid-90s, yeah. And anyway, the Wild Natives River and the Wild Natives block in those days, is a wilderness block. So you're not allowed to land a helicopter. They can't just land you on the tops or land you somewhere. You've got to put your pack on your back, put your rifle on your shoulder, and climb to wherever you want to go from sea level.
Yep.
Straight up. Anyway,
High water mark or something, isn't it?
the high, between the high and low water marks where they can land you.
I'm disappointed you didn't rappel down a rope with your pack and stuff on. I'm not touching the ground, guys. Get me to the top.
Well, Malcolm had done some because he owned a helicopter, so he'd done some flyovers and figured out where he wanted to camp and all that sort of stuff. So we had some idea of what he wanted to do and how we were going to get there. Anyway, I mean, we had all the right gear, packs and all the water, all the food and everything we needed. Weather was really miserable.
This is all pre-polar fleece and all that, right? So everything's wool, everything's heavy?
Yeah, everything was wool. Everest shirts and all that sort of stuff.
Yep.
Anyway, we decided that it would take us from where we got dropped. It would take us, we thought, 2 days to get up to maybe a day and a half to 2 days to get up there
To the tops?
to where we were going to camp, which wasn't on the tops. You couldn't.
Okay.
It was in a high basin. Anyway, it ended up taking us 4 days to get to where we wanted to go, and one of the things that really. The weather just turned really cold, and it was really sleety. So we took off up the valley and then straight up the ridge where we had to go. It was just like that, straight up.
Yep.
And we got to about I don't know. The first day we just basically couldn't go very far at all.
Yeah.
It started to rain, and really then it started to sleet, and. We got into a rock ledge for some cover, and that's where we stayed. We managed to light a fire based on some of the dry stuff that was in there.
Yeah.
And then the water started coming through through the cave. Anyway, next day, packs on our backs, go again, and then we hardly made any headway going up through the monkey scrub and all that sort of stuff. It was bloody shocking. Much worse than you could ever contemplate. And there was no tracks there. I mean, this is just straight out bush bashing all the way through.
Fiordland?
This is Fiordland, all right. Anyway, another fruitless day, and then we just found a little spot where we managed to put a tent up. Then the third day, we got a bit of height, and then we weren't actually on the go for very long before we got basically where we got to. There was a high mountain swampy tarn, all with timber and all stuff around. you couldn't actually walk around it because there was a huge cliff on the left and there was a big drop off on the right. You actually had to walk through it.
Shit.
And then it started to snow and sleet again. And at that stage, and we'd only just been going for about 2 or 3 hours, I started to feel shock coming on, like I was going to
Like hypothermia or something.
hypothermia. Yeah, I could feel it, and I could see Malcolm was pretty much feeling the same.
Yeah.
Like it's because we were in ice water up to our knees
Yeah, wow.
at that stage. And anyway, and then Paul was behind me. I said, "Come on, we're going to get out of this." So we got out of it. I said, "We're not going any further," and we pushed on up the ridge a little bit till we could find a spot that was almost flat.
That's where the episode ends.
And then we got the tent out.
Sorry about the
Put the tent up.
That.
And this is like
Thanks for
probably
joining
11
us
o'clock
this
in the
time,
morning.
and we
we're
will
all,
see
we're
you
all
next time.
on the verge of hypothermia.
Yep.
Stripped all our gear off, took our sleeping bags out, and just straight in the tent.
Yep.
In our sleeping bags to warm up, and we stayed there until the next morning when the first light came up. Then that's the whole day. It was just sleeting, snowing, pouring, and try to keep ourselves warm. I don't even think we got out of the tent to have anything to eat.
Yeah.
That's how tough it was. Anyway, next morning we got up and we pushed on, and we actually did finally get to the area where Malcolm wanted to camp. So, and then we spent that day putting a camp together, and we had a couple of tents. We had those little gas stoves. We didn't have any of like those super boil things, for example, you have these days. None of that stuff was around in those days. These are all just lightweight, carry little gas cylinder things which you puncture, and you carried half a dozen of those. Plus all the food was dehydes. That's all we carried.
Yep.
And we had a little bit of fruit.
That was going to be my question, because going 4 days in, you're going to come, 3 days back out going downhill?
Yeah, that's
You'll
right.
have a full week.
Well, that's not how the story ends. That's not how the story ends. But I mean, going downhill in that sort of country can take you, take you just as long as it takes you to come up. But anyway, we get I think a second day there or something. Malcolm's shimmying along this bloody rock ledge. Next thing you know, he slips and boom, and he just stops before he goes over a cliff. And I go and grab him, and I grab him by the backpack and pull him back. And he said, Robert, he was like this. I think I've seen stars and stripes, he said. In other words, he banged his head that hard. He'd seen stars, but he said, I never forget, he said, and stripes. And I don't know what the stripes was meant to be. And he was the next couple of days, we were meant to be in there for 7 or 8 days. We wasted 4 days getting there.
Yeah.
And then another day getting a camp set up, and I managed to do Malcolm was basically concussed. I don't think he did very much at all. He just hung around camp. And then Paul and I, we went to up a couple of these valleys. There was a couple of bulls bugling. They'd bugle and then they'd finish with a roar, Jeez. And but I never got a look at them. I saw all these big tracks in the snow, and one day we went up this particular valley, and this side valley, and you could see where the elk the wops had gone up the valley ahead of us, probably a day or two, couple of days before, and gone up over the saddle and gone. So there was at our level there was nothing at all, and I heard, as I said, I heard a couple of bulls way up on the tops. And from where we were, I tried a couple of times to climb to the tops, but the deadfall was so big, the trees, and so you couldn't get around it, you couldn't climb over it, you couldn't climb over it. And by that stage, like, my feet had been wet for 5 days, except for when I got to camp. and tried to dry them off. That was fine. But as soon as you put your socks and shoes back on again, they're wet. You can't light a fire because there's nothing dry.
Were your boots waterproof?
No, there's no such thing as waterproof. Anything in Fiordland.
Yeah, right.
There's no such thing.
Yeah.
There's no such thing.
And water goes uphill in Fiordland too.
All you've got to remember is to keep some clothes in the tent dry that you can change into. Don't just go through your clothes and end up with everything wet, because then you'll really be in trouble. So you always had a dry pair of socks and a dry Swanee shirt and whatever else you were going to have on. Pair of I had wool pants in those days. New Zealand wool pants. I think they're still hanging around the house, although they won't fit on me these days. But anyway, we hunted that valley and then another one a few times. We did manage, I think, on a couple of occasions, or that might have been on another hunt. I don't know that we actually lit a fire, apart from when we were going up where we found the dry stuff under the rock ledge. But when we got up to where we wanted to go, we couldn't. Anyway, Malcolm decided that he was not up to climbing out of the place. Ooh. So he got on his sat phone and he called in, and that was the only conditions upon which you could then leave the place in a helicopter, and that's what he did. He called up the helicopter for a rescue. Yeah,
because there's also no emergency beacons back then. There's not even GPS. There's only sat phones.
That's right. It might have. No, I don't think it was a sat phone. What am I saying? I think we were on the mountain radio. I don't think it was a sat phone.
What about EPIRBs?
No,
there's no such thing in those days. I think it was a mountain radio we used because because I did a hunt into the Lugaburn once too, and that was on. We used a mountain radio, and what the mountain radio was a little battery-powered radio thing with it. Would have a big long wire aerial that would extend, and the idea was you'd get to camp and you'd tie it from one tree and it'd run, I don't know, probably 20 feet or 30 feet to another tree, and then you'd have this little radio.
Like a transistor
radio type thing. Mm-hmm. And at certain times in the evening, they'd have the call of the schedule, and they'd call the blocks one after another. They'd give the weather on each in the areas. I'm just trying to remember it all. And the idea would be that you'd call in and or if you didn't answer, then whatever it is. And I think Malcolm called in that we needed a rescue, and so that's how we got out of the place. We actually got picked up and rescued because Malcolm was he went straight to hospital when
concussed,
he got home. He cracked his skull really badly.
Wow.
And so that was another challenge in New Zealand mountain country.
You're right.
That was a trip to remember. A real trip to remember too.
Yeah, I was telling that story to Brian before the last time we went tar hunting in New Zealand. You and I and Mr. Petley, and Brian had his favourite range there, the Dobson. And he'd been there with you, Frenchy, hadn't he?
Yeah,
I think he'd already been.
We've done 2 trips in there.
Yeah, so Brian, being Brian, had done tons of research and even wrote us a guide how to hunt the Dobson sort of thing. Even showing off photos of shooting 13 inches in there and all the huts, which hut's still up and which hut's not, and what to do where and everything.
We saw, like, the power of water is ridiculous. The hut that we stayed in the first trip was a great little hut, easy to get straight up into monkey scrub and then you're out, and close enough to the river to be able to walk down.
Yeah.
Ended up shooting a goose off the river with a 7mm mag.
Yeah, right.
It was tasty as.
That was the waterfall hut?
Yeah. I didn't know if I was allowed to name it or not.
No, you can. No, I think it's gone, mate.
Whether I want to. Oh, yeah, it has. It's
gone.
You go to those amusement parks where they've got the houses like on a 45-degree angle.
Yeah.
It was weird when we walked into it on the second trip.
Yeah.
It was like you're walking on the walls.
Yeah.
And knowing where I'd slept a couple of years earlier,
Yeah.
is being just turned upside down.
Yeah.
And wrecked. It was hectic.
Well,
Yeah.
the waterfall hut was right down the end of the valley.
No, that was the bivvy.
That was a bivvy, was it?
The bivvy was further up from memory.
It's Arthur's hut that it was down from, wasn't it? It was downriver from Arthur's.
So there was Kennedy's.
Kennedy's
Then
Apologies.
and then
We
it
stayed in the Kennedy hut.
Yeah, we stayed in the Kennedys,
Yeah.
and then across the river and a bit further up. I think me and Petley marched past because it was the side of the old Kennedy hut which got washed away.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's where
yeah,
we were.
yeah,
What
yeah.
was the one we stayed in?
Was it the waterfall that got washed away?
Yeah, waterfall.
Yeah, it was a waterfall. Yeah, you know, anyone that doesn't know, the hut system in New Zealand is world class.
It's great.
So just one valley or one area in New Zealand can have 4 or 5 huts. You know, like every 10 kilometres or so, there's a hut, and even.
Because during winter, these guys are driving their Toyota Surfs up the riverbank.
Oh yeah,
The river to get
yeah.
in.
So
It's
when
ridiculous.
Yeah, so when the waters, they have these massive, obviously massive alpine rivers down there in the South Island, but they, when there's snow on the mountains, the water doesn't come down, so the rivers drop to a trickle, and you can walk across the rivers no problems. But when they're, and then of course, you know, when it's summer and all the snow melts, all the water comes down, and the river can get up, you know, 2-3 meters because all the. So that turns it, you know, into pretty much inaccessible. But and that's what happened with the waterfall hut. The obviously the waterfall it was near, with a bit of summer.
A few decades though.
Yeah, well that's the thing. So they last until there's a weather event, and then they go.
We saw plenty of tar, but they were right up on the top bluffs.
Yeah.
The most impossible place to get to.
Yeah, so just to orient everyone, it's the Kennedy hut is actually it's a high country grazing station where the Kennedy hut is. So
I'm not sure.
So it's weird that you go up there, and if you drive through, I think you need permission. I think you need to let the landowners know or something that you're coming, because you're technically on their land in the valley, but obviously all the tar and the mountains are all dock land or public land, so you can hunt over there. But these old huts that are there, they're all the old deer culling huts. So back in the 70s when they had, well, the 50s, 60s, 70s, back when the Kiwis thought, just like we're learning now, that they can eradicate all the deer, their big modus operandi back then was that they were going to pay these guys for what was it, 9 months a year to just live in the bush and just shoot deer, just cull deer.
They were dreaming.
They were dreaming. Didn't work. Didn't work.
Have you still got your mic on?
Hang on. No one can hear.
So read the deer wars. In the years when the deer numbers went down, it was all because of the valiant efforts of the deer cullers, and it wasn't.
Yep.
And then in the years when it didn't, it was because unknown circumstances. And then, God knows, out of the blue, they decided to do some research on recreational hunters. That's what they call them, the rec hunters in New Zealand, and the private hunters, because the rest were government. And they went, oh my God, private hunters are actually taking about 5 times the amount the government programs are taking. They went, oh shit.
Yeah, and it's funny that's what we're learning now.
Yeah. No,
releasing
we're
official numbers.
Same thing in Australia.
Yeah, we're just learning it all much
all
later.
All over again.
Nothing beats people power.
Yep.
And the government can't match people power.
Yep. And what we're facing at the moment is fecal power, through the Invasive Species Council.
Yeah, but just those deer cullers. If you're not familiar with the deer cullers, that was
doesn't work.
Just the New Zealand deer culler itself was probably
so-called professionals. And they were real professionals. I mean,
I was just going to say that
employed full time by the Forest Service.
Yeah.
And when they weren't shooting deer, they were cutting tracks.
Yeah.
That's what they used to do.
9 months a year, they were marching up and down hills every flipping day.
Bringing tails in.
Yeah.
Living off the smell of an oily rag.
And getting airdrops for food.
Yep.
And those guys on their own most of the time, they were hunting on their own, definitely. So no OHS really,
Made no difference.
and it was
Made no difference at all.
So
And
that was-
you go through the same idiotic debate here where people saying, "Oh, use professionals." There isn't even anyone that approaches the level of professionality that they had in New Zealand
Yeah.
with the colours.
Where the professionals
Forest
come from?
Service.
and that was
Forest Service colours were real professionals. That's what they did 24 hours a day, 7 days a week.
well. There was also they were real men. There's nothing.
Yeah.
There's nothing that
Yeah.
anyone these days.
Back when men were men.
Back when men were men, there's nothing that anyone can do now that wouldn't that anyone could possibly say that they, you know, as macho as you feel, if you weren't a deer colour, I'd argue you weren't a man. So everyone's kind of, you know, inferior to them. But this trip that we did to the Dobson, so Brian wrote us a guide, and we got there. Robert Snr, Robert Jr, and James Petley, who was a North Islander, came and met us. And I didn't even know that Brian had written us a guide till we got there to New Zealand, because I kind of said, well, how are we going to hunt this place? I said, Brian wrote us something, but we'll be right. So we get out of the chopper, chopper drops us off behind the Kennedy hut. Beautiful hut, beautiful and cozy. And the level of like you talk about a high trust society, the hut system in New Zealand is the ultimate high trust society, because if people don't look after the place and don't restock it and, you know, leave it cleaner than when they got there, and you could die out there.
Well, some of those places are set up better than IGA.
Well, that's what I'm getting at. Like you walk in there and open the cupboards, and it's just about got everything except a TV.
Oh, you've
People
got
look
some
after them. They're
Whittakers.
clean as a whistle. The meat safes are clean. The wood's chopped.
What were we saying just yesterday about the TV to our kids zipping around the campfire? You don't need your iPads here, mate. The whole bush is an iPad. Look,
Yeah.
no off button.
But just thinking about being a deer colour, can you imagine just all you have to do? Because talking about when men were men, these guys would be out there 9 months of the year or 7 months of the year in summer, culling deer, and they just come back to camp overnight and say, "How you going, Bruce?" Because they'll be sharing the hut with someone else, 2 or 3 other colours, and that's your only mates for 9 months of the bloody year. Like, holy moly! But so I get to the Kennedy hut, is named after one of the old colours there, and it's all, you know, nice, a lot of history there and all that sort of stuff. And there was actually a cat living around the hut there.
What?
Yeah, there was a feral cat living there. And just a couple of k's away, there were cattle in the paddock from there, because there was grass up there. Anyway, so we get off the chopper and we look up behind the hut at the bluffs behind the hut. I get the spotting scope out, and Senior and Petley are creaming their pants because there's these giant bulls up on the bluffs. I'm like, we'll make a move in the morning and we'll go get them, or maybe it was the afternoon, I don't know. Because I think we're only there for 5 nights or something, probably a full week.
Jeez, that's not enough.
Well, I think it was a day in and a day out, and then we had so it was about, I don't know, a week, 10 days.
Did you get good weather?
Well, this is what happened. So we're sitting there and I'm like, righto, we're here now. So where's that guide that Brian gave us? And the guide says, you know, welcome to the Dobson, whatever, blah, blah, blah. There's lots of bulls behind the hut, but don't bother because you can't get to them. So these two are making a plan. I'm like, look, Brian said
No.
we're not going to get to them. Oh, don't worry about Brian says, we'll be right.
He's a wanker.
So I don't know when it was. Whether it was that afternoon or the next morning. We hiked straight up behind the hut,
Oh, wow.
got all the way up there,
You got bluffed out.
and got bluffed out. So we couldn't get to him. So we had to turn around and come back on the first morning. So I think the saving grace was that we ended up walking through a beech forest on the way back down, and we I think Petley shot a red deer on the walk back up this really steep gully.
You did too, yeah.
And he did the old shoulder bag where they knock the back legs off and keep the skin on and sling it across their shoulders. And Petley's about 6'5", 6'6". He's a giant of a man. He's built like the BFG. He's just big. So he's trundling down the hill in his farm shirt and his shorts with this bloody thing over his shoulders, just like it's nothing.
He does some fun stuff. I've been following him on his Facebook page.
Oh, he does. But just sticking with the story. So we had some camp meat. Some camp meat. So that was good. And then obviously all the while that we're going back down, we're still watching these tar while we're waiting for Petley to cut up. Thinking there were some bloody big ones up there. And we ended up. I think it was the next day or the next. I think it was the next full day. It was up towards Waterfall, and that section there, Brian had said, there's a great track up here climb up through the forest. It's easy going, and then when you get through the monkey scrub,
it opens the tussocks.
Yeah, you can get up there above the waterfall, or go to the left of the waterfall. Up there is a track, but bring a saw so you can make just cut the track open again. We didn't bring a saw. we went up there.
Hello.
But I read all this when I got back, and a side note, I'd done my ACL, so I didn't have an ACL, and I actually remember when I first did it, I rang up Dad and told him and said, look, I've just done my ACL, and we're only like 3 or 4 weeks out from this trip.
Oh.
And he just said to me, I'm still going. And I'm like, all right. He's like, I'm not going to go now just because you hurt yourself. So I just bought one of those American football sports braces and put that on. So it acted like an ACL, so I was fine. And it's like completely straightened my leg. Then my leg would go wobbly, but for the rest of the time, those American braces are unreal. Anyway, so we went all the way up there this morning, and of course, when you're crossing the river in the Dobson, the river rocks are the size of atlas balls. They're massive. They're like giant boulders as you're hoofing your way over. So crossing the river can take 2-3 hours just across the valley if you don't get in a good spot. And then as you get higher, the rocks get higher. So you've got to get out of that and get into the forest, and then you can start motoring because there's no undergrowth in the forest. It's so dense, so it's not really easy going. Although we were dodging those cyanide pouches. Was it cyanide?
Yeah, cyanide.
Yeah,
for possums.
Yeah, you see stuck to the trees these blue pouches, and they're cyanide pouches because that's their latest way to tackle the
Cyanide,
the possums.
Poison the possums. Yeah.
Yeah,
And
so
Great.
And anyone else that touches them.
Yeah.
No one else can touch them.
yeah, there's nothing else up there. Yeah, so I'm not really sure how the cyanide pouches work. They just fall on the ground.
It's got a little scent and they bite on it.
Ah, gotcha. But it falls out of the pouch, or they bite the pouch?
They bite the pouch.
Okay, because they were big ones, like the size of an envelope. Yeah, I actually found some pretty perfectly preserved possum skulls and actually took one home. Stuffed it in my luggage and took it home. No, I didn't actually. Took it out, and the guy asked me, "What is it?" I said, "It's a possum." He said, "Oh, it's a possum. Who cares?" Even though it came from New Zealand, he didn't care. Yeah, we climbed all the way up there, and we could see the tar from the riverbed. So we chose that spot. Went all the way up, and we were climbing so hard and so slow because Aussies don't climb as fast as Kiwis, of course, and we really don't.
All the best climbers are Kiwis.
100%. There's a reason. There's a reason why the first person to climb Everest was a Kiwi. They're just born for it. Seriously, they're just born for it. No one in the world climbs like them.
Yeah, well, they've got stupid size hills out the back, which we'd be calling mountains.
They don't call them mountains.
I know that.
They don't call them mountains.
Hills.
The only time you hear them say mountain, they just say Mount Cook. That's it. Everything else is hills.
Yes.
They only say Mount Cook because it's, yeah. Anyway. So we get all the way up there, and we get past the beech forest, and of course in the alpine zone, once you get to a certain height, it's usually the snow line, so nothing really grows except the stuff they call monkey scrub, which is slow growth. And when it first grows, obviously everything grows up and towards the light. But then as it grows with the seasons, it gets a snow dump on it, so it starts flattening it, and then the snow melts and it starts growing up again. So you end up with stuff that's coming out sometimes at the base of it at a 90-degree angle from the mountain, and then it's the end of it's going up. So it looks like it's bushes, but once you get close to it, it's like you're like a monkey swinging through trees. So sometimes it's above your head, sometimes it's below your waist. So on that side that Brian had told us to go to, which is the way that we went, the monkey scrub was just around our waist. So it's like climbing climbing stairs with a banister. You just reach out for the next one and climb up. And then once you get above the monkey scrub, that's too high for basically anything to grow. So it's just scree and everything else. So there's nothing there. So you get the grass in the valley, you get the trees, and then you get the monkey scrub. And then once you're above the monkey scrub, you're right at you're getting up there. And of course, at the tar are even higher, because this was May or June. I think it was middle of June. And of course, we're hunting in shorts because your engine's burning all day. So, and pants are no good for climbing. And so we get all the way up there. We see this tar kind of at the head of this gully, sort of at the head of the gully, up in the snow. So we start getting up there, and it was only, by the time we got up there, it was only an hour until dark. And we'd started first thing in the morning. Had a huge breakfast and got up there. So, just crossing the river was, like I said, 2 hours, and then just getting into the forest was another hour, and then getting all the way up there. So the day was over by the time we got up there. And we see on this big rock shelf in the snow, there was a huge mob with 3 or 4 bulls in it, and a heap of nannies and kids. And I'm just, as we're climbing up, we had a few breaks, and I was, taking photos back down the valley, because from where we're sitting on the mountain, you could see the Kennedy hut way down on the riverbed, just on the other side of the river. So I'm taking photos the whole time, and I'm looking to the left side. So as we're looking back down, from ours is the right side looking down, the left side looking up. On the other side of the gully, the waterfall was below us. But on the left side, the beech forest was about 100 yards, 200 yards higher than on the side we came up. And when you're looking at the monkey scrub, and then you look at our monkey scrub, it's like, well, that was only hip height. The monkey scrub there is about the same, but the forest is a lot higher. So climbing back would be a lot easier if we go that way. So I just made a mental note of that. Because, once you're in the forest, you're just flying. And it's easy as. And then we got close enough, we only got within about 400 yards of these tar, and we climbed all day. So we're like, what do? Do we turn around? Like, let's just start shooting and see what happens. Because like you could shoot them, they were in a good retrievable spot, and they would have come back down towards us anyway. So you can always come back and get them, or retrieve them with the chopper. Who knows? Just it was safe to shoot them. So we just start throwing lead at these guys. Hit absolutely nothing. And then we're just laying there, like we're on a 45 degree on this little patch of, it wasn't grass, it wasn't mossy stuff, but it was just that weird alpine plant. So we're just laying on that. And the snow, snow drifts around us, and we're just like, well, what do we do? Well, let's just go home because it's going to be dark any minute. So as we're walking back down the gully, I say to him, mate, I reckon we should go down the other side, opposite to what we came down, because the forest is so much higher. And Petley was like, no, we'll just go the way we came. And I'm like, I'm telling you, that was a bit hairy on the way up, because we did have to kind of zigzag because we didn't quite take the right track. So we did have to, take a big, so we thought we were going up in a straight line. We had to take a huge dog leg left and then zigzag back because there was a few bluffy bits where the waterfall had started. So I was worried that we were going to climb too close to the waterfall. So I talked him into going the other way, crossing the gully and going into the other monkey scrub. So we can go in the take the shorter route, so we thought, and then we started getting into the monkey scrub, and the monkey scrub doesn't kind of appear like a hedge. It kind of eventuates as you get into it. So it started low, and so we think we're climbing straight across the mountain, and then just head down towards the forest where we could see the tree line. And then just as we got in the monkey scrub, 15-20 minutes later, the sun dropped. And I hadn't realised it, but I'd forgotten a head torch. But I'd forgotten it at home in Sydney. So when we're at the local Hunt Fish, we bought some stuff and they gave us a free little head torch. And that's just those shitty ones, that's for when you're catching a fish or something. It's not for hunting. And that was all I had, and I had that in my pack. So I put that on. I dropped it about 4 times climbing, but turned out the monkey scrub was above our heads. And our feet weren't touching the ground the whole time.
Yeah.
So monkey scrub, explain just how intertwined it is.
Oh, yeah. So
you can walk above the ground on it, can't you?
Oh, yeah. So as I said, it's like you're swinging like a monkey because your feet don't touch the ground. And it's solid, but it's loose. So it's
exhausting.
It's not trees, it's not shrub, but it moves. So it wobbles. So with your weight, it wobbles. But the branches never break because it's never rotten. It's always alive, but it's that intertwined that it feels like it is. So That's just the best description for it. It's just scrub that only a monkey could live in.
What would you say it's like those new, or they're older now, those wire climbing playground equipment stuff?
Oh, it's literally like a kid's playground. Just everywhere you look. So I think we're going straight across and then straight down into the forest. So I think we're basically going horizontally straight across. But it turns out because you're climbing on a mountain, and every step down you take is a step down, that we're actually going down in the dark, and of course you can't see anything. I think it was a full moon that night, so it wasn't too bad. So it was a bit of light, but I could see the forest below us, and it was only a couple of 100 metres. But of course, Petley started saying, "Oh fuck, I've just fallen through this hole here," or because you stick your foot somewhere and it goes, and your boot slips and it goes through the monkey scrub. Then you got to pick your boot up again, and you don't know how steep the mountain is you're climbing on.
It's vertical.
You just don't know. It's dreadful, fucking dreadful.
Well, even if you had a headlight, the leaves that you're climbing through are stopping it from...
Well, it's not even leaves. It almost like some of it's spiky, some of it's shrubby.
The brush,
some of it's...
but it blocks out your vision of your feet. You've got to actually peel
and that's
the vegetation away to see where your feet are.
Yeah, and so it's above your head. So you're looking down, and every time you look down, something's grabbing your thing, and then bang, your little shitty little head torch comes off, and then you're like, oh, I've just dropped it, and then it's hanging by one twig down below your feet, and you've got to bend all the way down, and I can't straighten my leg because of my ACL. So I was just like, oh, I've dropped my head torch, stop, calm down, whatever. So I just got myself in a headspace that, like, we're cooked here, but we've committed. So you can panic and then your adrenaline's pumping for the whole time, or you can just say la vie. And at one point, it had reached about, I don't know, an hour or two after dark, and Dad was still at camp. So I could see his head torch from where I was, because I had my head above the monkey scrub. I could see the hut. Because that was another thing that kept my mind in the game. You can see the hut. It's just so hard for you to get there. And because that's way down in the valley floor. And he came out with his torch, with his head torch, and then I think you could see our head torches.
Yeah, I could see yours, yeah.
And then I started flashing my head torch at you, and then you were flashing yours back, and I'm like, good, he knows we're here. He knows we're coming. So that was like, great, no one's going to worry, everything's going to be fine. And Petley's moaning and groaning. And, obviously because it was my terrible idea, I had to stay positive. Because imagine if I started moaning.
When you finally got back to the hut.
Hang on.
He took to his bed for 2 days.
Hang on. So we finally, I think it was about, just moving 100 metres took about an hour.
Yeah.
It was so slow going.
It didn't arrive back to the hut till about midnight.
Yeah, I got in about midnight, he got in about 1 a.m. But the sun went down at about 6 or 7, and then we got back at about midnight or whatever. But I'd finally got to the forest. And I remember just like we were talking to each other, because they obviously weren't back to back, because there's no path, there's no straight way through. It's just, you have to, every branch you want to get past, you've got to lift it and get through it, and then squeeze yourself. And you got your gun on your back, you got your pack on your back, you got your head torch on, everything's quite delicate. And you're just getting bashed and scratched to the shit house. Yeah. Like, of course I had shorts on, so I was scratched to the shit house. And finally get to the forest. Oh no, sorry, I'm climbing through, and the steps down that I was taking, I didn't realise I was taking me right down. So all of a sudden I could hear the waterfall below me. Oh. And you can't see it, of course. You don't know how far away it is, but if you can hear it, that is a terrible sign. Mm-hmm. So then all of a sudden we had to start climbing out of the monkey scrub. So we had to start climbing up. And that's even worse, because you've got to start going up in an impossible area where it's impossible just to go sideways. And even going down was hard. So anyway, we got through it and we got in the forest, and I got in the forest and finally broke through, and it just opened up. It's just beautiful in there. I remember that I sat down, I'm like, oh, we made it. And then Petley comes out, and he didn't come out anywhere near me, but he just kept his distance from me. And I said, righto, mate, we're almost home. Let's just push on. But then, of course, you realise you're about 3 hours from home, or 2 hours from home, or whatever it is. Like, it's easily an hour to cross the river, even when you're power walking like that. Like, just get me home. So I was easily an hour down through the forest, and then an hour across the river. So I'm like, only a couple hours to go, we'll be right. And he's just like, I'm sitting down, I'm having a snack, just leave me alone. I said, all right, I'll wait for you, because no, just go. I'm like, mate, mate, it's all good. I got snacks. You want snacks? Because I'm busy being Mr. Positive. and he was basically saying, just fuck off. Just fuck off. Just leave me, would ya? Just leave me, would ya? So I'm like, righto, I'll just keep an eye on you, but I'm happy to walk down a bit and just wait for 20 minutes and wait for you. He's like, no, I'll be fine. This is smooth sailing from here. We'll be right. And I'm like, righto. And luckily I'd trained so hard before the trip because I felt great. But he wasn't the most athletic guy in the world, but he just hunts. He hunts hard. So his mind was in it. But I was really having one of those moments just when I got in the forest where I was like, some bits of the monkey scrub, I was just saying to myself, we'll just get to the forest and I'll just pull the bivvy bag out and we'll just sleep here. Like, this is too much. But then I was just like, no. Like, it'll be fine. And I reckon if I was doing that on my own, I would have panicked and just laid down and just rolled the bivvy bag out and left it. But because I was having to be the Mr. Positive for him, so he wouldn't kill me with his knife. That was what we did. So I just power walked down through the forest. That was lovely. And what's so weird about those New Zealand forests at night is it's so quiet because there's no animals that it's spooky.
Yeah.
Like, it's like, there's absolutely nothing here. There's possums running around, but that's it. It's in the alpine zone too, so there's no birds hanging around. They come around in the daytime, but there's no bats, nothing in those beech forests. So it was like I was walking through Lord of the Rings or something. Like I was walking through Fangorn Forest in Lord of the Rings. It was weird.
It is.
It was weird, and beautiful, but weird. So for some, like me keeping a positive mindset for some bits there, I felt like I was one of the hobbits marching through the forest, just being happy. I'm like, this is actually not happy. This is one of the shittiest situations ever.
Bilbo.
Yeah.
Bilbo Borso.
Bilbo on an adventure. But Bilbo Borso. So I get back there and Dad's like, oh, you're here, you made it. And he's like, oh, where's Petley? I'm like, I left him up on the mountain. He's like, you what? I'm like, he said he was all right. He goes, you shouldn't do that. And I'm like, well, he was basically telling me to F off because I made this terrible decision. And he's like, what did you do? And then, he's not...
So close yet so far.
Well, he's not the most eloquent, Rob Sr. So when I told him what I did, he's like, well, that was a fucking stupid idea, wasn't it? And I'm like, well, yeah, that's what I'm articulating to you, that I made a mistake. You're supposed to go, she'll be right. But he's just like, that was a fucking dumb mistake. So as he said, Petley jumped in his sleeping bag and stayed in it for about 2 days after that.
Far, yeah.
He just didn't get out. So imagine you've just really...
or in exhaustion.
But
Yeah,
also
well,
the lesson for tar hunters, say it, Junior, is if you come out on an easy spot, you go back to that unless you know the other spot.
100%.
Unless you've walked on it.
100%.
You do not go to...
100%.
And you mark it with toilet paper
Yep.
and you GPS it. 'cause
Yep.
Like that.
Oh, look, and to his credit, he GPSed the place all the way up.
Yep.
Because he said, we'll be fine because I've GPSed it. I
Yep.
said, yeah, but that looks easier over there.
Yeah,
That looks
was a
much
mistake.
easier. Look how much closer it is. And when you're looking
No,
at the
it was a
monkey scrub from a
mistake.
distance, you can't tell how dense it is. You can't tell how high it is.
No.
So it looked better.
So
It
he
looked
was-
so
he was
much
doing
better.
the right thing. And...
Get yourself some rope with the reflective
Oh,
braid through it.
Toilet paper's all we need.
Whatever.
Well, if you come back at night.
Whatever.
That's how we found my tent. Was my little Caillou 2-person tent. We were trying to find the hut. Second trip we went
Yeah.
on.
Yeah,
came
that's
back.
right.
And we walked around the spot. We knew it was close by, but we were about to start walking further away.
Yeah.
And we shone our headlights
That's a
around
good
and picked
idea.
up the
Put reflective tape on.
reflective thing out and it popped up. I was done by that day. We trudged a few hours through the cold.
That was fucked. I can remember that. We were trying to find the hut and going, where the fuck is it?
Yeah. And it's getting close, because it would have been close enough to midnight, 1 o'clock.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking all I want to do is get in a bloody bed, and then all of a sudden you see this little flash of light from the reflective braid in the guy wires on the tent.
Yeah, but it's just, you've got to be switched on all the time. Like,
Yeah.
it's just...
If you go up there and it's easy, well, reasonably easy, if you don't know that, you got to think, unless it's tussock right to the base of the bush, you don't touch it.
No, and there's you just get that thing where I'm a great hunter. I'm always thinking. I'm always coming up with great ideas. And it's like, no. That's great ideas don't keep you alive.
No,
Tried and true keeps you alive.
Yeah, that's right.
You know, because if you're going ass over tit in that monkey scrub, or you were stuck upside down in that monkey scrub, or you
It's fucking ridiculous how
climb
tough
too
it
close
is.
to a water. Oh,
Unless people
climb
have
too
been
close
out,
to a
they have
waterfall
no
or something.
idea. You know?
Yeah, and look, and that's luckily, touch wood, I've never had a big fall or anything like that because I've always shat myself on the mountains and tried to be risk averse.
That stuff.
Oh yeah,
You have no idea because it's so steep and it's hard.
You could already be on the cliff. You don't even know.
You can't see your feet.
Yeah.
You don't know what's under you.
Yeah, it's so tight.
So you could already be hanging off a cliff and you don't even know it.
Well,
And
that trip to the Wild Natives, that Paul and I got up to the snowgrass one day and we just couldn't go any further.
Yeah.
And on the way up the valley, it just kept getting thicker and thicker and thicker.
No, turn your head torch off. Can't see your
And
face.
anyway, like the boulders in that valley that we were trying to get in and around and over at the top of were like the size of a house.
Yeah.
In that
Amazing.
valley. And we were sort of, at one section, we were shimmying around this ledge. And next thing I lost my footing and I fell through a crack between the boulder and the scrub.
Yeah, it's crazy.
And I was literally hanging there and Paul was standing above me. I was hanging there and thinking, oh, well, this is it. And I looked down and I was 2 foot off the ground.
God, that's lucky.
I wish we had a camera on that. Help me, Paul, help me.
No, he
Step down, Rob.
He couldn't help me, but it was just.
Yeah.
I looked down. I thought, oh, what am I going to do now? I can't. And then I sort of went, oh, I'm only 2 foot off the ground. So I let go. Because what had happened, all the detritus over the centuries had fallen down into the crack.
Felt it.
And
you might have sunk into there and just gone blob. You couldn't get out of it.
yeah,
John and I, John, karate dude, and me, we were up the Karangaroo and we went up this creek and we were climbing across these boulders the size of houses across roots and that. And we climbed across these things for about 4 hours, getting opposite this thing. And he looked at me and he go, Brian, what the fuck are we doing here? I went, I've got no idea. He says, let's get the fuck out of here. Because we were going to wait there till dark and shoot the tar, and then we're going to have to go back through all that. And he went, nah, let's get the fuck out of here. And we did. We just realised, we were I was 60 and he was about 57. And it was just bonkers. It's just too dangerous.
But that's the thing, like I was saying about those deer colours, like those guys, if you haven't got a hard head, and you don't just.
But when you're young, you can do that.
Yeah.
Like every day when you're tar hunting, there's some bit where you walk. You're going to run across a bit or something that's dodgy.
Or even crossing rivers.
No, but just going across a slip and you go. It's really steep, and it's just there's one bit every day where it's a bit dodgy. But you get to a stage when you're late 50s and you just can't do it anymore because your knees and you can climb, you can do the basic shit, but you can't take the risks.
Yeah.
It was about, I think it was about 1987 or 1988. I did a trip to New Zealand with what they call themselves in those days. Oh, it was Peter Chamberlain.
Yeah.
And we went tar hunting, and we went to
above Erewhon on the left there.
it was the Havelock arm of the Rangitata.
Yeah.
We went up, and it was the middle of winter, and I mean the middle of winter, and it was absolutely snowing and gushing, and it was unbelievable. And we sort of did two trips in there while we were there, and he had an old Land Rover, and he drove the Land Rover up the valley, up the riverbed, and we went to one hut. I can't remember the name of the hut, but from there we then put our packs on our backs, and we then walked up one of the side valleys, and it was literally going into a winter wonderland. It was just completely snow and ice.
Yep.
And we had ice picks, and we're sort of going 3/4 of the way up this valley, and we could see some tar up above us, and and it was nothing but snow and ice. And I looked up there and I said to Peter, how are you going to get them? He said, oh, we'll just keep going. He said, we'll keep going. Anyway, so we kept going up this valley, and we were getting higher and higher, but the animals didn't seem to be getting any closer. And then at one stage, a tahr stuck its head over and looked at us, and he said, Robert, shoot it. So I had that 270 that you've got, Frenchy.
Which 270? I don't know what you're talking about.
The one that you stole off me.
Oh, stole off you.
And
you were kind of generous in a moment.
Yeah, a moment of
the one that you won in that raffle of only one.
And so
thank you for that, Robert.
So this tahr started rolling down the hill, and then it stopped on the ledge, and a bit of water was coming down the ledge. And he said, don't worry, Rob, I'll go up and get it. And I said, you what? He said, oh, I'll go up and get it. So he gets his ice pick out and he starts chipping away at this frozen moraine and makes a footstep here and makes a footstep there. And I watch him go up and I thought, well, if he can do it, I can do it. So I started following him up. And we got right at the top of this moraine, and I looked back over and I thought, I don't know how the hell I'm going to get back down there. It was all pure ice. Pure ice. And I don't even think... He's the one that had the ice axe. I didn't have one.
Just following him.
So I was just following him.
Oh, wow.
And then we got...
crampons on?
No, not at all.
Oh.
No. It didn't have trichones or anything. Anyway, what we did was he got up to a spot and he said it was this big snowdrift running up and around, and then it came round to the top, round to the left, and then you could see where this tahr had rolled down the hill and had landed on this little bit of a rock ledge at the water running through it. And he said, don't worry, I'll go up and get it. So he then starts to climb, stamping the snow down as he goes. I said, you don't have to go up there, it's not worth it, don't go. And he said, no, it's all right. He said, I'll be right. So he goes, dun, 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 dun. And about 15, 20 minutes later, he arrives at the top and then starts to come down sideways, dun, 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 dun. And he gets to the end of the snow. And you couldn't, and it was about 2 or 3 feet down to where this rock ledge is, off the snow, and this tahr is about, I don't know, 10 feet away, dead as, laying there. And I thought, well, if he can do that, I can. So I followed him all the way up and then came down. And next thing I'm standing beside him, he looks around, he says, oh, you're here? I said, yeah. He said, he had a rope. He said, I'm going to lasso it. Because you couldn't get on that rock ledge, because if you did, you'd slip off and then you would be gone. So he goes 2 or 3 goes with this thing and he hooks the bloody thing around the head and the horns and hauls it up.
Wow.
Hauls it up and retrieves this bloody whole bull tahr.
Wow.
That way.
Far out.
And then he says, all right, now, he said, what do you want? I said, oh, well, I'm going to take the head and cape. So he hauls it up onto the snow bank that we just walked through, flattens a section out, and he starts to take the cape off.
He caped it right there.
He caped it there, yeah. Well, you weren't going to carry it down the hill.
No.
No way. And he said, right, let's go. So then we went back. And I tell you what, it was harder going down than it was going up. It always is. Oh, God. And then we then get back to camp. And that night, God knows what time it was, I don't know, 9 o'clock I think it was in the dark. And we'd been out in the snow and the wind and the bloody all day. I mean, it was just absolutely frozen. So we had a day off and then we moved to we had a day off. So then we moved to another cabin further down the valley. And the day after that, we got up and I thought, what are we going to do? Peter got out onto the riverbed and laid on his back and he's busy glassing. I said, what are you looking for? He said, I'm looking for the tahr. I said, oh, that's interesting. Okay. He said, I can see one through the tracks in the snow up above. He said, well, we'll go after him. So, all right, well, we did. Of course, what I didn't mention was that
Get the wobble shoes off.
That year, or that it might have been 6 months earlier, I'd actually done my left knee anterior cruciate ligament too. So you've got no control of your lower leg.
Yeah.
And
that's no brace, no nothing.
no brakes. Yeah, that's right. That's you don't realise how hard it is. Anyway, that was the first part of the hunt. The second part of the hunt was we went after this bull, and straight up the hill, more or less behind the hut, straight up the ridge, straight up. It took us most of the well after lunchtime before we got up near where we wanted to be, and then we got up. We got up onto a ridge above where these tar were, and anyway, I got the binoculars out and had a look. I could see the bull that he had spotted from down below, and I fired. No idea what the range was. But again, with the old Ruger 270, I only fired one shot at him, and I held for the top of his shoulder, and boom, and then whoop, and he took 2 steps and he disappeared behind the bluff. No idea where he was. I thought I'd hit him, and as it turns out, I did. I hit him, and he'd only walked about 15 or 20 metres and dropped dead. I couldn't actually go much further, so I went a little bit further up the ridge line, and then I said to Peter, "Look, my knee has just had it. I can't go any further." So he said, "Don't worry, I'll go up." So he went up, and probably an hour later, he yelled out that he'd found the bull, and he knocked the cape off it and the head and came down. I started to leave before he came down because real slow going downhill when you've got no control of your lower leg. And I ended up getting back to the hut at about midnight, and he was basically caught me up halfway down and was ahead of me on the way through in the dark. And that bull, he's the one I got full mounted at home. He was 13 and a quarter inches or something. 12 and 3/4, 13 inch.
What year was that?
I'm going to say, I think about 1987, 1988.
Great year, 87.
That's a good year to actually shoot tar because they were shot the shit out of by then. There weren't many tar around in those years. They'd been shot.
No, well that's right. And what I always thought was funny was that he's not a young bull.
Yeah.
And he lived, 13 and a quarter inch, whatever it was. I can't remember the exact measurements.
It might have been 10 years old.
He lived through that whole thing.
Yeah. But the helicopters were shooting shit out of him then.
They hadn't got him.
Well, they're clever, those bull tar. We saw them on a trip there. I think the year before we went to the Dobson, we went there with John Royal out of we drove across to the west coast.
Yeah, we were on the west coast, and
that was an early hunt. That was April, I think it was.
Yeah.
And we got choppered up there, and we saw firsthand sitting up there because there was no snow up there, so we camped up on the top. So it was a beautiful camp we had. Looked down on the whole valley. So basically climbed down for chamois and climbed up for tar. It was a great spot, and hard going every day though. But we sat there up on a ridge watching some young tar on one of those days, and a helicopter came up with the man with the shotgun hanging out the side, and we were watching these tar, and there were nannies and everything else, and then as soon as you could hear the rotor change on the helicopter where he's lifting, all of a sudden these bull tar just went under the tussock, disappeared.
Yep.
Disappeared. Chopper went over, a couple of boofs here and then as soon as you could hear him dropping again and off he went, the tar just came out again.
Oh, they could hear it before we did.
And the ones that are getting towards mature, they know what it means.
Yep.
So they just disappear. So, watching that firsthand was a revelation.
Well, it's going to be the same in Australia.
Yeah. That
all the animals.
These animals know it. So when you think about helicopter shooting, you're just imagining, oh, these, you know, it's going to be like uncovering an ant's nest where they run in all directions. It's like, no, they know what they're doing. They know what that means. They learn.
Yeah.
They learn.
They'll drop in the scrub. They will just get out of the way.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. And if you think that, you know, deer and tahr and these animals are dumb, they are not dumb.
They adjust. They know what a predator is.
Well, it's just like when you're, you know, hunting at a block that you know gets hammered, and there's one real old stag or real old buck that's getting around, and no one can get him. Everyone's talking, oh, there's that buck there, but I've never had a chance to get onto him. Well, there's a reason why he's alive.
Smart.
Because he's smart. You know, he starts picking up on patterns, starts noticing things. He's probably got better instincts.
Yeah. You're selecting for the smarter ones.
Yeah. So, yeah, good yarns about New Zealand.
Oh, I got stacks of them.
Yeah, and just the
time we went up we took the boat across the lake, and
which lake?
Te Anau.
Sorry.
Te Anau. You're in the
Anau.
Wapiti block, yeah.
And
it's the only lake.
Wait, what year was that last story you told? What year was that? In the 80s?
yeah, that's what I said, about 87,
Okay.
88, something like that.
Oh, yep. And again,
I'm gauging
no
that.
waterproof, no nothing, just a mountain radio and wool clothing.
Yeah.
So you're wearing.
We had waterproofs.
Okay.
But you didn't.
Well, they weren't Gore-Tex.
wouldn't have been that
There's no
good.
Gore-Tex.
There
It
wasn't
Jabara
It
in those
wasn't
days.
Gore-Tex. It was. I can't remember what.
Probably
I was
just
wearing.
beeswax sort of stuff, right?
Yeah, that.
Oilskin.
Yeah.
I think I had oilskins on, that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
But it's still. I mean, it's actually better to hunt in that really frozen, solid, cold environment.
Because it's actually quite dry up there, isn't
Because
it?
it's dry.
Yeah.
It stay dry.
Yeah.
I didn't get wet at all. You know.
Yeah.
But the one going up the I think we called it Cow Valley in those days, but it's sort of not opposite, but it's not far from on the opposite side of the valley from where the Lugaburn starts.
Worsley.
Hmm?
Is that the Cow Valleys in the Worsley?
Yeah, it wasn't the Worsley. I'd have to have a look at. I had a look at the maps the other day, funnily enough, and I could see where it was, but it had a different name. Anyway, no, it was just one. It was just an exercise of. We took the boat across and then we got out and of getting yourself from the bottom to the top. Now, if you're hunting with Kiwis, they just walk up there in a day. But it took us 2 days to get up to where we wanted to be, and it was hard going coming up through the forest. But on one of those sections, coming back, all the timber in the ground was so rotten. I literally fell in it 2 or 3 times up to my waist and up to my chest.
Wow.
And the only thing that sort of stopped you really was your pack got caught.
Yeah.
You couldn't go right through. But and then I picked up, and that's where I picked up those Wapiti antlers, that 10-point and that I think two 10-pointers there.
Yep.
As I went down into the timber, broken stuff, I kicked over some of this stuff, and all the old Wapiti trails and that sort of stuff were just growing over in those days because they'd done, I think it was the early 80s is when they did all the big catch-up in there.
Yep.
And so there was basically next to no animals in there. We saw some pure-blood reds in there.
Yep.
And there were potentially some nice-looking animals in there, but all we did was found guts and hair and feet. That's all we found. So the choppers or someone had been in there and they'd shot them before we got up there, unfortunately. So again, to me, the whole thing was just, as nice as it was being in that forest, it was just an athletic waste of bloody time and money.
Yeah.
There was nothing worth shooting. And the Lugaburn was pretty much the same in those days too. That was really hard going, a much longer, harder climb, and it was just a complete waste of time. From my point of view, my experiences in Fiordland, probably because of the proximity of the timing of what they were doing in those places in those days. Yeah, it's a young man's game. You couldn't possibly do it now, but I couldn't possibly do it now. But I still don't think I'd bother because I had one of the guys that works for me now, Matthew. He and his son and a mate have just been in to the to one of the blocks there, the Whitewater.
Uh-huh.
They went into the Whitewater this year.
On the ballot.
Yeah,
Yeah.
on the ballot. and they spent 10 days in there wandering around. I think one of them had a rifle and the other two had bows, and Matt shot something, and I think his son shot something as well with their bows, but they were just red deer hybrids.
Yeah.
And they're only young animals. I mean, I wouldn't have crossed the river to shoot them.
Yeah.
Waste of time. So it didn't impress me in any way, shape or form. I know they're trying to do a lot of work in there to bring the Wapiti herd back, but from what I just saw from what these guys have got, well, they might shoot one or two good ones occasionally on the West Coast and Cat's Eye or places like that.
But there's no Wapiti, that's the problem.
But the blood strains, I'm far from an expert, but from what I've seen.
Funny, we knew someone who knew something about deer who could chime in.
It's not a matter of knowing someone who knows deer. It's a matter of having a government prepared to do what they originally said they would do, and that is release the herd back into Fiordland, and they've never done it.
So where do they keep the herd now?
The crown herd is gone. So they had a crown herd of Wapiti types, but they're gone. So the Wapiti, like those guys, really good guys, but they didn't get out of the river flats. The really good Waps are up towards the tops. The Wapiti types, because that's where they are. They're being seen. The choppers are shooting the red types out of the upper tops area, possibly. But they had a really good hunt, and they actually shot. Those guys got a bit of a hard time, but they shot a couple of reds, out of the Wapiti. But why not? Go for it, boys.
Yeah, but that's not really the reason you're there.
No, but they did a good job while they were there, and so
that's not really the reason you're there.
Yeah.
And they had a good time and they enjoyed themselves, and it was pretty hard bloody going, of course, like it always is.
It's massively hard going, and you've actually got to make it up onto the open areas. That's where those Wapiti type things are. Like, there's very few of them are shot down in the on the riverbeds. They're up on the tops and on the edges of it. So.
Look, we'll wrap this up, but I'll just tell one more yarn about bloodlines in Fiordland. So, it was almost a decade ago now. I was at a wedding. One of my wife's good friends from her childhood on the Kapiti coast. I think it was Paraparaumu. We were at this wedding. It was only at their house, so it was a pretty low-key wedding. And had my suit on, and I had this little pin on that was a deer's head with antlers on it. And I didn't know many people at the wedding except the family, and I was kind of standing around, just after the ceremony, whatever. And this old Kiwi boy come walking up to me, and he says, "Oh, do you hunt? Do you shoot deer?" Like, he's pointing at the pin. I'm like, yeah. Oh, that's good. So and we just start talking about deer hunting, and then he starts telling me that he was part of the moose hunt, like sorry, not the moose hunt, the hunt for the moose.
Yep.
And he's telling me how he'd been on an expedition down there looking for the moose. And it's one of those things, that thing where the storyteller can convince you more than any evidence or any book could. Where the passion in this guy is it was like when someone...
It's because you want to believe.
Hang on. Oh, yeah, I do want to believe, definitely. So yeah, I believe in the Fiordland moose, definitely. But he was telling me about the expeditions that he'd been on, trying to find it and track it and do this and do that. He was telling me all about the browsing that they'd seen, the browsing evidence. He talked about the prints they'd seen. He talked about the hair they'd seen. He didn't. For some reason, I didn't get into the DNA of the hair they'd found. but he said he was on one. I think it must have been in the 80s. And then and there was one more recently, but I loved it. I loved every minute of him telling me about what he'd seen, and they were convinced that the moose are still getting around in there, because just with the browsing evidence, basically in some of these areas,
Browse so high.
Exactly, that the moose can lift their head up to about 9 feet or 8 feet and browse, and of course nothing else can do that in that area.
Sorry. You've seen Samba stand on their back feet?
Yeah.
Yeah, reds can walk around like that too.
Reds can do that too. That's simply nonsense. You know, I mean,
Okay.
I've shot 2 real moose,
Yeah.
and real moose don't put their heads up to eat. They eat at the browse line
Yeah.
of their height.
Well, Fiordland is not the natural habitat of the moose,
Yeah.
so that flies in the face of all of it immediately because
Yeah, they're browsers.
because if they're there, they're not browsing
Moose
naturally.
don't get up on their hind legs.
But no, not on their hind legs. I mean just the height of it.
Yeah, but
the
reds can
consistency-
actually stand. So Samba can walk around, and reds can walk around, and so can fallow walk around bipedal.
All right. Well, this is sounding like you two are just trying to pour cold water on this. So
Yeah,
you
sorry
can
about that.
you can stop
it's
talking
called
now.
Skepticism.
Skepticism. Well, like I said, I believe so.
No,
But there was something that I saw recently. I think about there was some DNA evidence coming out of Fiordland. Is that
no,
correct?
there was 2 sightings of one on the track near the. There's another track beside Fieldland, but way outside Moose area.
Yes, that's right. And that was done by 2 Europeans
Yeah.
who knew
No, the Canadians or something.
Canadians. So people that had seen moose, and they saw the moose and said, "What the hell's that doing here?" And then when they asked, and they said,
Moose, there's no mistaking it. You won't mistake a moose for a red deer.
"Well, that's what I'm saying." So these Canadians would know. So they're experts. So thank you for backing up my point.
Yeah, but what about the 30 years of bloody cameras in the area, and they'd never turned up a moose photo?
Look. One of these days, it's going to show up the moose,
Yeah, cool.
just like it showed up the long-footed potteroo in Bondi State Forest, which was also
that's what happens
which
with
is-
animals
which is
at
a-
low level.
About this big, about a foot
Yeah.
high.
Yeah.
yeah. Well, look how dense Fiordland is. You need a camera every 5 meters to find it.
The Fiordland is not good habitat for moose.
Yeah.
It's not where moose live in Alaska.
Yeah. All right, we're going to have to wrap this up. Thanks.
You want to hear my moose story?
No, it's actually, I think our mics are about to give way. Yours is flashing.
Mine's flashing.
So I think that's telling us.
It's full of bullshit.
That's yours saying it's time for you to stop talking bad about the Fiordland moose.
That's what it's over it. It's like, censor this guy.
It's rejecting a
I'll
book.
tell you another time about my Alaska.
Is it a full
Yeah, for
audience?
sure.
A full audience. A Fiordland moose or not? We don't want to hear about it.
don't want to hear it.
No, it's an
Here you go,
Alaskan
Robert.
one,
Mine's not flashing.
Hang on, give me that
I
one.
wanna hear about
Give me that one. Give me that one.
It's an Alaska Yukon moose.
I'm going to boycott this conversation until we start talking about Fiordland moose.
It's not a very long. I won't tell you the whole story. I'll just tell you part of it.
Thanks for not letting me stop the conversation, Brian. Just a quick one because we've been talking for an hour 40. It's been a long
that
one.
all?
Yep.
I think I've had about 5 power snoozes in between all that.
You have, I noticed.
Snoozes.
Yeah.
Power snoozes.
Yeah, he took a photo of you snoozing around the campfire, mate. Don't worry.
I had both eyes closed. I was listening intently.
Yeah.
Okay, it was in. It was 1992. I went to do a mixed bag hunt in North America. That's bear, moose, caribou, barren ground caribou, and what I say, bear, moose, barren ground caribou. Yeah, that's pretty much it. And sheep. That's where I shot my 42 and a half inch doll sheep, the one I've got mounted at home. And anyway, we got to this. I hunted with Jim Fiji's, nice guy, obviously Alaskan. Poor old Jim's not with us anymore.
He was a character.
He was a real character. Yeah, he had a camp set up on the tundra, and we hunted. I started the hunt. He had put me with another fellow chasing doll sheep, and I won't waste your time with that one. That's another story for another day. But that was like a 5-day backpack hunt, 5 or 6 day backpack hunt for doll sheep, and then then back to the main camp. He picked me up, and we went moose hunting. And the moose season in those units, it was the top end of the Alaska Peninsula where he had his camp. The moose season, just by recollection in those days, in that unit was only like 3 or 4 days long, not very long. But you could fly in. They had the super cubs that fly in the day before. He had an Indian guide in there already. this guy had to be seen to be believed.
You said he was Inuit or Eskimo or something,
He
wasn't
was
he?
an Eskimo, yeah. Well, he said, I'm a Native American.
Okay.
I said, you're an Eskimo. He said, oh, I'm a Native American. I said, well, you're an Eskimo to me. Anyway, he met us at the plane, and took me down. We got into this, into the tent and got ourselves set up. And on the way down there, walking through, about a 20-minute walk down the hill through the scrub, we literally saw moose everywhere. There was one here, one there, one here, one there. Anyway,
This is in the rut too, right?
it's just before the rut.
Yep.
And anyway,
So the moose are moving around a lot.
the moose are moving, yeah.
Yep.
And anyway, this the next morning is the next morning, I think, was opening of moose season. Anyway, so we get up in the morning, and you wouldn't believe it. I opened the flap of the tent, and it's a complete pea super.
Yep.
I mean, you literally almost cannot see your hand in front of your face.
Yep.
And the Indian sticks his head out and he says, oh, we can't hunt in this. And I said, yes, we can. Only had 3 days left, or 4 days, to try and find a big moose and shoot one. Anyway, so I got dressed and I said, I'm going out after moose, and or caribou, or whatever I could bump into. He said, you'll get lost. I said, I won't get lost. So anyway, off I went, and then about 20 minutes later, I hear this rattling coming up behind me, and it's him. he's managed to find me in the fog.
Yeah, wow.
Anyway, we go up this long gully. It was a little bit of a leap of faith to know where you're going, in this stuff. I saw a couple of caribou, and we went around the top of the gully and I sat down, and I thought I could see them coming up. There was two. There was one that was a smaller, shorter one that had lots of points, and then there was another bigger one. The really big one I got at home.
Yeah.
Anyway, so I shot that with a 338.
And just to set the scene, this is not foresting area. This is big, open, plainy, rolling hill sort of thing, right?
Yeah. It's not thick. It's forested, but not really thick.
Yep. A lot of like tundra shrubs sort of things.
There's tundra, and there's also what they used to call niggerheads, and you're not allowed to use that word anymore.
Yeah.
But what these were basically were frozen little hummocks of moss.
Okay.
And you don't hunt in boots. You were hunting in hip boots.
Yep.
And you sort of, as you're moving from one hummock to another, that's the way you moved around. You jumped from one to another, because the ground wasn't soft.
Yep.
And each one of these hummocks was frozen solid.
Yeah.
Anyway, we got to a stage. I sat there. I shot the caribou, and we carried it back to camp, and that was pretty much it. We harvested most of the meat, backwards and forwards. No trouble at all in the fog, and it remained foggy like that virtually the whole day. It was unbelievable. Next morning, got up, did the same thing, opened the flap of the tent, and it was absolutely pristine. A beautiful, clear day, not a cloud in the sky, no fog, no nothing. I got out, and I looked out across the valley, and it must have been, 2 or 3 k's away. I could see flashing white.
Moose.
Flashing white.
Yep.
They were the palms of moose.
Like little satellite dishes.
Like satellite dishes, yeah. Like sometimes you see with big fallow buck in the distance.
Yep.
But of course these things are 10 times, 20 times bigger.
I saw that with moose in Canada. You really pick them up quickly because of that white.
They flash like you wouldn't believe.
And there's nothing as bright as that. Like
No,
it's an odd shape.
that's right.
Yeah.
Anyway, I said, come on, we're going after him. He said, oh, we can't, rah, 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 I said, we're going to go after him. Anyway, so same thing, I got dressed quickly, and off I went, and then he came trailing in behind me. He said, we've got to go this way. No, I said, we're going to go that way because they're going down the valley. They were heading down towards the river. You could sort of see the direction. There was 2 bulls. Anyway, by the time we got over there, they were gone. Of course, they'd already walked down towards the river. So we ran down the hill after them, caught up well, we didn't catch them, but we got to a point where we could actually see one bull was halfway up a draw and just about to step into the timber, and the second one was just coming out of the water and walking his way up behind him. By the time we got anywhere near him, near the river, they were both disappeared and into the timber. I then ran up after him. He said, "Oh, they're gone, you won't find them." And I said, "No, yes, I will. I'm not going to leave those two. I want to see whether I can find them." Anyway, I ran up after them, and I actually did catch up with the bull behind it. And he had a set of antlers that sort of poked up in the air, and he had these big black sheets of velvet hanging off his antlers. It was a real picture. Beautiful, big, long-legged, stiff-legged animal. And he stopped like this, and he turned around and he looked at me. He was no more than about, I reckon, 50 or 70 yards in front of me.
Wow.
Absolutely fantastic animal. And he took 3 steps and he disappeared into the pine forest, gone. And I thought, goodness me, what am I going to do? Anyway, I put by this stage the Indians caught up with me because I was standing still, and I took my backpack off and had my camera and everything. I said, I put it down there. I said, just remember where I've left it. And he said, all right. And then I took off in the general direction of where these moose had gone. And there were moose tracks everywhere and moose shit everywhere. The ground, was really black soil, really beautiful country. And I must have traipsed. And don't ask me why I took my backpack off. I just don't understand why I did it, but I did it. I wanted to move quickly, I suppose. I don't know what it was, but I ran in the general direction of where these moose had disappeared. And I stepped out into a little clearing, and there, it happened bang, bang, like that. There was a moose. He saw me, and he ran from right to left. And I had the rifle cocked and ready to go. All I did was, and I could only just see the side of his head, and I could see the top of his shoulder. And as he ran, I fired at him, bang. And the Indian didn't even see the bull.
How far away was the bull?
Well, I said to him, he said, "Did you hit it?" Because he didn't see it. And I said, I'm pretty sure I did. I think I hit it just behind the shoulder or on the shoulder. I said, I think he's about 60 yards away. He said, no, he was over 150 yards away.
Wow.
Yeah. And that was with a 338. With that 338 that I've got here. That's the one I took on that trip.
And what was the load you were using?
They were 250 grain Nosler petitions.
Okay.
I can't remember the powder load, but they were all hand loads. In fact, I think they're the same bloody hand loads I've got here now.
Yeah, right.
What's left of them anyway. Anyway, the bullet just punched through the top of the willow.
Yep.
And we got over to where he disappeared into the timber again, because it all happened like in a flash, bang, like that. And the shot felt good. We went over there and I started searching around, searching. I couldn't find any blood. And the Indian said, "Oh, you missed him." I said, "I don't think I did." It felt pretty good. Anyway, I searched around for about 15 or 20 minutes and I found one spot of blood about the size of my thumbnail. And I thought, oh, okay. I did hit him. But exactly where, who knows. Anyway, I went from that spot of blood, I did a big circle, found another one. And I kept doing that for, must have been about 2 hours. Meanwhile, the Indian starts to, I know where he's gone, and he runs off in the opposite direction to what I was doing. I just took no notice of what he's mad. That completely mad. Not only didn't he see it, but he didn't know how to trail either. So I thought, if I can just keep doing this, circling back on the bloods, I'll eventually find him. And that's actually what happened. The blood trail got a little bit better, and then through the timber, I could see him. He wasn't dead. He was just standing there, like he was mortally wounded, but he hadn't fallen yet.
Yep.
Anyway, reloaded, I approached him, and I approached him from the side. And by this stage, the Indian had come back to me and caught up, like an errant dog. I'm doing all my own hunting. He's not helping me in any way, shape or form. Anyway, I got to within about 30 yards of him, and so then I crabbed around the side of him. Meanwhile, the Indian just keeps walking straight towards him. And I said, don't do that, because you don't know how wounded the bloody thing is. I mean, that bull of mine, he's hanging on the wall now. Yeah. He's got tines hanging off his brow tines that are as long as my forearm.
Yeah.
If he decided he was going to spear you,
you're gone.
You're gone. And he'll take 2 steps. You won't get away from him.
No.
So I stayed well away, walked around the side of him, shot him in the shoulder again, and he collapsed and he was dead. And the Indian said to me, "Oh, I thought you were chicken. You didn't want to shoot him from the front." I said, I'm not chicken. I'm not stupid. Anyway, I found where I hit him on the first shot. I hit him right on the ball of the shoulder. That bullet, never found it. Didn't obviously come out the other side, because the thing is, through the shoulders is 3.5, 4 foot wide.
Yeah.
This bull antlers, when I shot him, 72.5 inches tip to tip.
That's a monster these days.
Yeah.
They don't shoot them over 70 anymore.
Well, they've got to be there.
They're there, but you don't hear about it.
72.5 inches.
Jim
I've got
Shockey's
pictures of me laying in the antlers.
Yeah.
The whole of me, and I'm just over 6 foot.
Well, that is 6 foot.
Anyway.
That is 6 foot.
72.5 inches.
Yeah.
72 inches is 6 foot.
Yeah.
72.5, yeah, it was 72.5. It didn't get to 73. And that bullet had hit. You could see where it hit him on the left-hand shoulder, and the action of the leg immediately closed the hole. That's why there was very little blood. Very little blood. But that nozzler had done its work. I mean, it had stopped him. He was in full flight, and it had stopped him within 500 metres. He literally couldn't walk. He would have probably fallen down at any time.
Oh yeah.
But that bullet had just smashed him, absolutely smashed him. Yeah, so that was that story with the moose. It was just.
So how'd you carry the moose out?
Well, what you do is they have to pack the meat out before they pack the head out.
Yep.
So.
Did you have horses? No.
No, there's no horses in that area because you nothing to feed them on.
Yep.
There's no grass.
Yep.
What you do is you section the animal, and then what Feegis would do, he would fly over, and while we were doing that, he was actually flying the area looking for us, and as we were cutting the animal up, he flew over the top and he wagged his wings to show that he'd seen us.
Yep.
And then he went back to back to his main camp.
Yep.
And picked up a guy that was going to do the meat packing. And between him and the guide, they packed the meat from where I'd killed it back to where the plane would land. And then from there, he'd fly the meat back to his main camp.
Wow.
Then the antlers were the only thing that they always had to be the last thing out.
Yep.
And they took the antlers out. I think they took them out whole, but when I got the thing mounted, I got the thing mounted, of course, at home, but both antlers are detachable.
They have to be, yeah.
Yeah, but I think they shipped them. I don't know whether they shipped them cut off or not from Alaska. I didn't see that, but they had to be carried out. So I got a feeling they might have cut one antler off on the site. You cut it off at the base of the coronet.
At the pedicle, yeah.
Coronets are like that.
Yeah.
They're huge. And the cape, just imagine how much that would weigh green.
Yeah, crikey.
Yeah, so anyway, that was the story of the moose and the useless guide.
And always track the blood. If you see blood, there's hope.
Yeah.
Don't give up.
I got to the stage where I wasn't believing myself that I'd actually done it. But once I saw that one little drop, I knew that was it. It's just a matter of then focusing enough to find the rest of it and then finding him. And like I said, he didn't go very far. It was less than 500 metres.
Good story. Well, that's a good place to end because it's just
It's a good
about to
place to end.
hit midnight, and we got hunting to do.
Yeah.
All right.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you. See you all next time.